Сайн байцгаана уу хүн үзэгчтэй. Өнөөдөр манай дефакто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Япон Улсаас Монгол Улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд Бүрэн эрхт Элчин сайд ноён Kobayashi Hiroyuki оролцож байна.
Kobayashi Hiroyuki Япон Улсаас Монгол Улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд Бүрэн эрхт Элчин сайд. Kobayashi Hiroyuki Монгол Улсын их сургуульд монгол хэл судлаач, Америк нэгдсэн улсын Индианагийн их сургуулийн аспирантурт Урал Алтай судлалын ангид монгол хэл судлаач, Чуо их сургуулийн хуулийн ангид тус суралцаж төгссөн. Тэрээр Монгол дахь Японы элчин сайдын яамны 3 дугаар нарийн бичгийн дарга, Америк нэгдсэн улсын Чикаго хот дахь Япон улсын ерөнхий консулын газрын дэд консул, гадаад харилцааны яамны Азийн газрын хятадын хэл тест Монголыг хариуцсан мэрэгжилтэн, гэрээ эрх зүйн газрын гэрээний хэл тест мэрэгжилтэн, хэлтсийн орлогч дарга, Америк нэгдсэн улс дахь Японы элчин сайдын яамны 1-р нарийн бичгийн дарга, Монгол дахь Японы элчин сайдын яамны зөвлөх бөгөөд дипломат байгууллагын дэд тэргүүн, гадаад харилцааны яамны тамгын газрын боловсон хүчний хэлтсийн ахлах зохицуулагч, шинжээч, хэлтсийн дарга, Америк нэгдсэн улсын Нэшвилл дахь Япон улсын ерөнхий консулын газрын ерөнхий консул зэрэг албыг тус хашиж байжээ.
За сайн байна уу та?
Сайн байна уу. Өнөөдөр Монголын ардартай нэвтрүүлгийн нэг бурх эдийн засагч нийтрүүлэгч жаргал сайханы таны нэвтрүүлэгт оролцох борсондоо миний хоббит тоерын их байна. Түнтэй зэрэгцээд миний оролцож буй энэ нэвтрүүлгийн үзэгчдийн тоо ерөнхий хоосоо бага байх би хэмээн санаад байна.
За тэр санаа зовлтгүй. Уулзсан гол шалтгаан бол 2022 онд хоёр улсын дипломат харилцаа тогтоосны 50 жилийн ой болно. Япон, Монгол улсын хувьд 3 дахь чухал стратегийн түнш орон. Та энэ улстай Монгол улстай холбоотой залуу насндаа энд ирж хэл сурж ийсэн, Америкт сурсан, Америкт ажиллаж ийсэн туршлагатай дипломат. Тэгэхээр 50 жилийн ой болно гэдэг бол хагас 100 жил таныг энд байхад болох юм. Тэгэхээр энэ дээр одоо гол юунд анхаарах ёстой вэ гэж та бодож байна вэ?
Тэр бүр сонин чухал асуудал. Өнөөдөр тамийн жил гэдэг нь урд хугацаа гэж би бодож байна. Харин яг манай хоёр улс орон 1962 онд дипломат харилцаа тогтоосон. Тэгээд түүнээс хойш 25 жил бол мэдээж Монгол улс социалист улс байсан учраас манай хоёр улсын хоорондох харилцааг хөгжүүлэхэд төвөгтэй хэцүүтэй байсан. Түүнийг би их санаж байна. Тэгээд Монгол улс 1902 онд 10 жилээр зах зээлийн төгсөрдөөтэй зөвдөрдөөтэй улс бүрсний хойш манай хоёр улсын хоорондын харилцаа түргэн төгсөрдөөтэй хөгжиж ирсэн гэж би үзэж байна. Эхнээ арбат жирбор обасяха одооч хүрдэр Японоос Монголд төгтөрдөөтэй дэмжлэг үзүүлсэн тим саквэ гэж би үзэж байна. Харин одообор та яг дөрөснөр биндэр бороо цүншрэр урс орн баг учраас одоогоос цааш дور хамтран ажиллагаа биенээ нугсан хамтын ажиллагааг явуулах хэрэгтэй. Тийм удаа цаг бороо байна гэж би өөрөө бодож байна.
Indeed, up to now, our relation was overall so much helpful for Mongolian development. It was relations of assistance from your side, which was on time, very helpful, in particular difficult time when cold winter comes, etc. And as you said, for last 20 years, let's say, new century. So this last 20 years become so important. Now, these days, we are coming to the level of partnership, mutually benefiting, mutually compensating in a way.
Yes.
Friendship. So from now on, I mean, next 50 years, say, is to be more kind of cooperation, mutual cooperation, mutually beneficial cooperation. Then, if you consider that, in particular, after we had this, we call it free trade agreement, you call it differently, but we have already a few years.
Yes.
And that, what was the role of free trade agreement? And does it meet the expectations?
Well, many Mongolian people now, some Mongolian people now says, even though we established EP, Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA, in 2016, since then, that agreement benefits rather Japanese side than Mongolian side, because the export from Japan to Mongolia is larger than export from Mongolia to Japan. But to me, just establishing the EPA doesn't mean to increase the volume of foreign trade between our two countries. It is kind of legal facilitation. Under that framework, each side can much more easily access to each other's markets. Important thing is how much effort each side makes to develop and to sell the products in other market. So right now our conditions are how can I say established better before previous years, but important thing is how much Mongolian businessmen, how much Mongolian people like to make effort to find the product which would be sold in Japanese market.
Very interesting remark. You said this agreement is mostly not only export matter, but also it is matter of legal access to each market, where on two sides need to work more. And what are Mongolian business or private sector have to pay attention to have more access to Japan? What are the current things that make them not come into the market?
Well, just considering the current products which Mongolia export to Japan is mainly cashmere and also the some mining products. On the other hand, from Japan to Mongolia, we are selling now the cars, of course, and also the mining machines and equipment and so on. And watching the future, it's not an easy thing for Mongolian businesses, but they have to study how what Japanese people like to buy from Mongolia. And I think in Mongolia, there are many potential things to be sold at the Japanese market. So the things are, Mongolian businessmen have to find good product to be sold in Japanese market. And for example, according to my personal opinion, Mongolia has a very good animal husbandry industries, and of course, horsemen don't use much chemical substance to grow grasses and to raise animals. So that means Mongolia has very much potential to export very much organic, healthy animal husbandry products to foreign countries. And many people are very much now careful about their health, even though the cost is a little bit expensive. So that Mongolia has, for example, potential to sell those products to Japan.
Let's, as example, take meat. There were times where a lot horse meat was exported.
Yes.
Then later on it was a sheep, I understand. And what are those requirements that the Japanese market is accepting?
Okay. I mean, as per the meat of animals, to import horse meat is okay. Actually, we don't have any restriction on importing horse meat from Mongolia. But the problem was, according to my knowledge, a Mongolian businessman cannot provide horse meat regularly. For the Japanese business to receive the horse meat regularly, constantly, is a very much important thing.
Regular supply.
Yeah, regular supply is a key.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a matter of quantity. It's a matter of preparing the logistics in such a way that it continues. The size of the business itself. Okay.
Yes.
And we talk about just the meat, but there are many other things. Okay. Milk probably and other products.
Right. But I mean, in terms of other meat of sheep and cow, Japan has a restriction to import those meats from Mongolia to Japan because Mongolia sometimes mouse foot disease take place.
Yes.
So Japan is not in a position to import fresh meat from such a country which have mouse foot disease.
So it's globally and the whole country is to take care of that matter. Yeah, it's an export requirement for not only to Japan but for many other countries.
But an important thing is to ensure the meat is not an animal infected with mouse foot disease, right?
Yep.
So that how much animal control you can do is also the important thing for the future. For example, you can use technology, and you can how can I say, put a tip in the animal, and you can how can I say, control how animal act.
Can Japanese businesses come and invest in this field?
I would
because
say,
you have very developed agriculture sector.
I would say, you have potentials. There is possibilities because since Mongolia, you have many animals, right? So that's really attracts the interest and attract from the foreign countries.
Okay. The other issue I just wanted, people are curious. We have now around almost 600,000-700,000 cars. More than half of them are Japanese. We call it right-hand car. And out of them, about more than half is a Prius. Almost second-hand Prius. And all those Prius have batteries.
Right.
And there were some businesses tried to export those batteries to Japan and to process there, but Chinese and Russians don't allow batteries to go, all batteries to go through their territories. How about Japanese having a factory here in Mongolia to process those factories, separate needed things and wastes? If anybody thinking on that, how do you see that?
I think it's a very good idea, and some of our Japanese companies are pretty much interested in having a plant to process the used battery, because from used battery we can retrieve the usable materials, right? So to separate usable material from the waste battery. Those kind of jobs should be done in Mongolia. Unless otherwise, we cannot, transport those batteries through China or through Russia, right? So we have to do it in Mongolia. But the problem is, after the separation of the usable material from the used batteries, how can we use this, material? That's our next question. Maybe we can just export those usable material to third country. It's a very easy way. But if you try to use these usable materials, mineral resources, it's also require a huge amount of investment. Also, the you should think about the market to sell.
That's something that we need to offer to market, and market will work on that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, I don't want to talk about the mining sector because we talk so much about that with other countries. Non-mining sector, cooperation between two countries. Please brief us in the field of education, a lot of people, how many of them are there? How do you see the future and other non-mining sector? What is your vision of cooperation of two countries?
In the field of non-mining sector, you mean? Well, of course, Mr. Jarga Saiham knows very well about Japan's, restoration from World War II, after World War II. And since Japan has not mineral resources, our main, resources is human capital, right? So to invest human capital is very much important and essential things to every country, no matter how much they have mineral resources or other resources. Usually mineral resources, natural resources are gone out after a long time of period, right? So you have to prepare those human resources. And of course, in Japan, mining sector is not our main sector in our country. So you can see Japan. I would say between Mongolia and Japan, we have lots of possibilities to develop in other sectors.
Yes. One of them is education.
Yes.
How many students so far have studied in Japan? How many are there, and how do you see their future in which particular sector of education?
Okay, as far as number of the Mongolian students studying in Japan, I don't know exact number, but there are many. And I'm just thinking about students sent to Japan by a Japanese government scholarship. I would say every year we have around 200. So, accumulation of these 200 every year, makes lots of people.
Yeah, total some 10,000 or so people live in Japan, according to our statistics. And majority of them are students, not only through government, thank you for that, course. And also on the private. They learn language, and apparently they learn language very fast.
Sure.
And by many categories, Mongolians can pass this exam for labor import of Japan faster. So, and unfortunately, this COVID-19. Otherwise, this Olympic game, its preparations, construction work could attract more Mongolians.
Right.
Okay, but however, this option is open, and I think the education is something, as you said, human development, as something that get close to nations more strongly than any other sector, right? I would like to ask a question about airport.
Airport, all right.
In connection with its future, tourism between two countries. What is your vision on that? When this airport?
Well, according to the contract between Japanese consortium and Mongolian company or Mongolian government, airport should be open by the 1st of July. But as you know very much about the current situation, due to the very strict measure taken by the Mongolian government to protect Mongolian people from getting infected with coronavirus. The government sometimes close the border between city of Ulaanbaatar to other IMAX.
All flights, all IMAX.
No. I mean,
locally.
It's a local. Communication, commuting things, because many of the airport workers live in Ulaanbaatar. So if the border is closed, they cannot get to a airport.
Even to the airport.
Because the airport workers in Tupac, right?
Yes.
So that's small one obstacle. And also, right now, as you mentioned, Mongolian government closed all the commercial regular flights between Mongolia and foreign countries. And to finish up the airport management has to import advanced technology facilities from foreign countries to Mongolia. And that's why we cannot transport. They cannot transport those facilities from foreign countries to Mongolia through air. And also, just getting the facilities. Probably we can, use land surface transportation. But important thing is just getting these equipment doesn't mean anything. We have to also have a special expert to install those facilities in the airport. Also, we need experts who can, train Mongolian, workers using those, high-tech facilities. So that right now, airport cannot import the facilities, and also there is no way to invite foreign experts from foreign countries.
Understand now there's objective obstacles for opening this airport on time, opening the operation. Yes. Otherwise, the airport is ready, everything is ready, the road is finished, sure. And hopefully now it will happen soon. But with this airport, people are expecting more tourists coming from Japan, and more regular flights, yes, including Japanese operator can fly.
Right.
What is your take on that?
Airport is a very much important facility to attract tourists, because any tourist from foreign countries first landed Ulaanbaatar and experience service of airport, right? So the new airport managed by the Japanese companies, I myself is very much proud of, and I'm very sure that this new airport is going to give a first-class service in the world. So that's really helped to attract foreign tourists to Mongolia. That's one thing. And also since this airport has a very long runway, flat runway. Right now, currently, Genghis Khan Airport has not a flat runway. Yes. It's a kind of a tilted, right?
Yes.
So they can only land and take off from one side. But since this is a flat runway, if the direction of the wind change, they can change the direction of the landing and take off. So that means much more reliable flight departure and arrival can be ensured.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very good thing.
And probably also we need to develop domestic air links infrastructure, so that people don't spend just time by just driving by car in this last territory. And really, it is expectation in between two countries there will be a tourism, boom of tourism, and people are here and they are preparing for their expanded things.
So in that context, Tokyo Olympics Games to be held next year is a very good also the opportunity to attract tourists. Who visited Japan first, then they may come to Mongolia, because from Japan to Mongolia it only takes 5 hours. Yes. So Tokyo Olympics Games will also good chance.
Yeah, around 4 hours or so flight. So that means before celebration of 50th anniversary, we may have really the next wave of tourism and other sectors development, in particular once this through the free trade agreement the market is open, probably we will have a more chance to learn more about the Japanese needs. Now, a question comes about yourself as an ambassador, and before you have been coming to Mongolia, and you can compare old system and this system. What are things that is making Mongolian society change it now, to your observation?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it's really difficult for people to change themselves. All the characters of Mongolian people, according to my observation, has not been changed. But social system has changed from socialism to market economy, democracy, and freedom, right? So to me, it's really interesting because how I can see same people act under the different systems.
Okay. And overall, that system is slowly change our behavior and understanding to wealth, to market. Because this free market gives us first-time opportunity to own property.
Sure.
Which was not the case before. And on the contrary, in your country, they were always private property, small, big, but always protecting, right? So that change is going on, and hopefully we will match soon the way how we approach to life with this new tools and with the new system. You have been working with your teacher were Hangini Rombojov at the University of Indiana.
Yes.
And you had also a wonderful teacher here in Mongolia.
Yes.
In terms of Mongolian language, what you would advise Japanese people?
Well,
how to learn the language?
When I was a university student in Japan, my major was law, and that's why I didn't study any, Mongolian language at all. Before I entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. After I entered Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry instructed me to be a Mongolian expert. That's the first encounter for me to Mongolian language. First of all, I was so shocked because I've never seen Cyrillic letters.
Okay.
So to get accustomed to Cyrillic letters is a first challenging issue to me. But on the other hand, grammatical structure between Mongolian language and Japanese language are pretty much close. So that to me, I don't feel any difficulty, or I don't feel any discouragement to study Mongolian language because we have very close grammatical structure, and I thought it's rather easier to me to study Mongolian language. But the problem is, in Japanese we have five vowel sounds, but in Mongolian they have 7 vowel sounds. So to make new 2 vowel sounds are very difficult to me.
I see. You are a career diplomat, and today you are an ambassador with highest rank of ambassador in Japan. When you first entered to the foreign service, how many years it took to be an ambassador?
Well, it's also a difficult question, but according to the current practice, some of the Japanese ambassadors appointed at 55, 56 years old. If I think they are the youngest ambassadors. But usually, just before 60 or around 60.
As becoming ambassador.
So comparing with Mongolian ambassadors, we are very much old.
We have sometimes 30 plus years old ambassador. It's on one side funny, but on the other side it is not that funny, because it's a matter of experience, and it's a matter of preparing professionals in particular sector, in this case foreign sector. And in Japan, foreign sector, do you have a kind of training obligations or institutions that diplomats are prepared and trained periodically?
Well, since I belong to probably the older, elder generation, and for the elder generation people, everything should be on the job, training. And of course, after I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I had almost 3 months intensive training at the Japanese diplomatic school. But it's not a long-term education system. It's just kind of an introduction. What is diplomat is like.
So you have on school, diplomatic school.
We have school, but
at the ministry.
Ministry, but I don't. I mean, it's not like a university.
Yeah, it's a special training.
So special training center in short period of time. So many people study almost everything during their doing job.
In between career or posting abroad, one should go through the school again or not?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean,
so when initially,
of course, right now in Ministry of Foreign Affairs we have 6,000 diplomats, right? And 1,000 of those 6,000 come from other organizations, other ministries, and also the private sectors. When we receive, new diplomats from other sides, we can ask them to go to a diplomatic school.
How long?
Probably a year. But it's not a everyday school.
Yes.
During 1 year, they are supposed to prepare for serving in foreign country. Yes.
Yep. Well, Ambassador, we have covered very interesting issues, probably from a very simple angle that people understand what is the relations, and also relations that is reaching now 50 years old in 2 years,
Right.
and which is really important for this country. And I'm glad that your ambassador had shared your time with us. And I wish you and your people all success and successful celebration of 50th anniversary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jarga-san. It is my pleasure to join this, famous, TV program.
Thank you very much.
Japan is, as you mentioned, third neighbor country. Japan and Mongolia are the strategic partners each other. But important thing is how each nation know each other very well.
Yes.
And one of the best way to know each other is to promote business relationship in the future.
Really?
If the business comes to Mongolia or if the business goes to Japan, there should be always people's interaction, and those people's interaction is indispensable for our future relationship. That's why I don't know how long I can be ambassador to Mongolia, but as long as I stay here, I like to try to encourage, improve these two countries' bilateral economic and trade relationship, so that our people can know each other more.
Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you.
Thank you. За хүн төрөлхтөй өнөөдөр манай дефакто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Япон Улсаас Монгол Улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт элчин сайд ноён Hiroyuki Kobayashi оролцлоо. Баярлалаа.